seminar instruction day. We will have seminar very, very briefly tomorrow. And when I say briefly, I mean very briefly. We won't be on here more than 5-10 minutes. I'll be on to do any type of last minute questions. I'll stay back for anyone that has concerns, but you guys will be out of here within the first 5 or 10 minutes. So please make sure you come quick. All right. So today we're going to talk about protecting your identity. Now, you don't have to worry about this being on your final, but I do want to talk about it because we've been saying that it's so important for you to be online, but with everything, there's risks, right? And so obviously protecting your identity is something that you need to consider. Not that we don't know that by now, but identity theft is a real thing. So believe it or not, even when it comes to looking for a job, thieves find a way to try and infiltrate everything, including the job search process. So they're always looking for a way to steal people's identity for various reasons, whether they're trying to, purchase things, create fake accounts, who knows what they're using it for. So, obviously you don't ever want to share any type of personal information about yourself. PII is what they call it, personal identity information about yourself at any state of the job interviewing process, unless you have been hired by someone, don't share your information. I even had once years ago, this company that tried to go through a virtual private network, which is like, basically on the internet, but through like this private network. And they were like, oh yeah, you're hired. Now send us all your information. And I was very suspicious of the company. Like, you hired me like within 30 minutes. I'm like, okay, this is a scam. So I was able to identify it, just my gut told me it was a scam. Like everything was private. Where's your website? So you just have to be careful with stuff like that. Obviously, most of you're in your respective industries. It may seem like, oh, that can't happen to me, but you'd be surprised, right? People will fake companies and they'll say they love you and they'll say, oh yeah, we're just going to do online interview. You're hired, send me your information. And they tend to do it where they feel like a lot of people are applying for jobs. In the past, 12 months or so, I would say probably even 15 months, you may have seen trades in the news, right? So now everyone, is saying, well, everyone meaning politically, they're telling people that are having a hard time finding a job, they should all just go to the trades. I don't know if you guys have heard that. Now all of a sudden, the trades is supposed to be what's going to help people stay afloat. So you may see a lot of people going to trades. Well, guess what? Thieves are going to follow. So, you got to be on the lookout and make sure there's nothing nefarious going on with these job postings, right? You don't want to deal with what Chapter 6 calls employment scams. I don't know why this is taking so long. Okay, employment scams, right? They use Indeed, they use LinkedIn, they use these job boards, and they create fake job postings. Yeah, I know, it's so annoying, but they do. I always tell people, if you find a job on Indeed or any other job board, go to the website to see. Number one, you should do that anyway, because some companies forget to take down their Indeed job board postings or ZipRecruiter or LinkedIn or whatever. And sometimes the job posting is old. So if I like a company on Indeed, I'll go to their website to see if that position is still available. And if it is, most times I just apply through their website. That way I know I'm applying directly to that company. You can do it through Indeed because Indeed obviously, streamlines the process, makes it easy. You just push in a button as opposed to if you go to their website, then you got to fill out all the forms in some instances. So I get it, but better safe than sorry. So I always recommend if you like a job on a job board, just go to the company's website. They can even steal your computer identity, especially if you're like using Wi-Fi systems that are public, like at a Starbucks or something. Um, every company, every computer has an IP address. It's just a number that's to identify the device that's on the internet. So think of it like a car on the highway. So your computer is like a car on the highway, the internet highway, and there's numbers attached to each car. Every time you go onto the internet, there's an identifier of, what computer is on the internet, right? So that IP address, that number that you have, it tells you what location that computer is in. Sometimes if you get alerts, like if you have a multi-factor alert system and you try to, access one of your accounts from a different computer, you may get an alert saying, hey, are you trying to access your account from, Hollywood, Florida? Because that is because the IP address or whatever that device is that tried to get onto a system, they have identified the location of, whoever's trying to get on, right? So that is what that is. And there are thieves that know how to intercept, you. So let's say if you're driving along the highway and they know how to shift the directions, so to speak, to make you think you're going one way and you're really going towards, a bad site where they're just trying to steal your information. I'm trying to simplify it, but that's kind of how it goes, right? So make sure that, you don't fall victim to that. They have what they call fake Wi-Fi spots. Like if you're at let's say, and they always do it at public places, libraries, Starbucks, anywhere that you typically Chick-fil-A have Wi-Fi, they'll set up fake Wi-Fi's. So you'll think that you're using the public Wi-Fi, but you'll be using their Wi-Fi. And obviously once you log in, that's why they say don't ever, go to like your banking or anywhere you would have personal identify information when you're on these public sites. Now I know for some of us, it's like, well, if I don't have internet, this is the only place I can get internet. And that's fine if you're like maybe just coming to your you know school's website or someplace that you don't have a lot of personal information, but being mindful that even with just something as innocent as coming to your school's website, they're still getting some access to you. Now they know who you are, they know what school you go to. And again, most times they're not doing it because they're trying to harm you physically, but they're trying to steal your identity. Stealing identity is a big business, guys, if you don't know. So to avoid, like I said, try not to get on there. If you do get on there, definitely try not to do go anywhere where you have personal information. Like if you just want to browse because you're just looking up stuff, or listening to the news or something like that, that's fine, right? Always make sure that the Wi-Fi that you're on is the proper one. So some of you may have heard of this thing called cookies, and cookies is basically when you go onto the internet and you whatever browser you're using, let's say you're using Google, you're on a highway. So think of Google like a highway. Anytime you go for, let's say you're always going to exit 56, and exit 56 is Southern Tech's website. Google will, the first time it goes, it has to follow the route. But the second time that you go to the site, it creates a little shortcut because so it can get to the site faster. And we call that cookies. It's just stores where you go, so the computer doesn't have to go through step A through Z to get you there. It'll just create a shortcut for itself and go. Thieves know how to hijack your cookies. Can you believe it? So they know how to hijack. I know it's so annoying. These shortcuts, so they can get access to your information. Sometimes, for technical reasons, Google, let's say Google, for example, there are shortcuts. The link breaks. So if you think of like a chain and the chain breaks. So if you try to go to your school's website and it won't take you there and you keep having this error, it's because that cookies broke. And so all you have to do is on your browser, those three little dots off to the side, you can click on it on the top right hand side, and then you just go down to your settings and go to clear browsing, and it'll clear out those cookies. You can clear it out. You can clear out those shortcut links. So then when you go back into your internet, you can just type in Southern Tech again, and it takes the long route. And so that typically clears it up. But that's what cookies are. It's supposed to be designed to get you places faster. But like I say, anywhere there's something positive, there's going to be people that are doing something negative. So these, what we call unethical hackers, they're trying to hack into people's systems. They use a lot of different, techniques to do that for whatever reason. One of the most popular ones is phishing, and that is like it sounds, they're looking for information. So oftentimes you'll get these fake emails. This is what, Yahoo and Google talks about. Google probably is a little bit better than Yahoo, because Yahoo, obviously has been around longer and it's been infiltrated with tons and tons of fake emails. And of course, what do they want you to do? They want you to click on something and put your personal information in it. They've gotten really good at it too, with faking accounts, saying that they're the IRS. They use that one a lot. They'll say that you know, they'll hijack some information about you, because unfortunately Google sells your information. Any company that you use, they sell your information, and sometimes they're selling it to bad actors unknowingly, and they're using it to then try to pretend that there's sending you a product, and it's really them just trying to steal your identity. Malware is software programs that are intended to damage or steal from your computer as well. A virus obviously is a negative thing because it disrupts your computer. Viruses aren't always nefarious. They're not always bad. It's just, somebody could have a virus and, unknowingly they could spread it. Sometimes you have, bad actors that try to spread viruses for whatever reason, but typically they'll do that when they're trying to destroy a company, not so much a individual. You do get adware, which is a form of software that displays and downloads advertising all over the place, like bombarding you with things that you'll never buy. So, some websites, or they create these websites that really don't have any true purpose. And then they get paid with all these ridiculous ads on there. You can always kind of tell those websites if you click on a website, because they'll pretend like they have all this great information. Let's say you're looking for Nike shoes, but the website is really just there for all these ads pop up, thinking that you're just going to be so, naive and start clicking on the ads and buying whatever crap they're trying to sell. That's why, Google and Microsoft and whatever the platform you might use, they put these ad blockers up because, of course, everyone's trying to take money for whatever reason. Spyware, spies on your computer. Now, spyware and ransomware, these two are really more so for businesses. A lot of times thieves are not going to spend a lot of money on you or I. They're going to try to go where the money is, the biggest bang for their buck. Having these bad actor IT guys are not cheap, right? So they're going to try to maximize their profit. So they'll try to do spyware or ransomware on like big companies. A few ransomwares have been in the news. I don't know if you guys, ever heard of people, companies having their information frozen. It's because of ransomware. And to my knowledge, I've never heard of a company being able to break that code. These are some of the top, most sophisticated thieves. And if they freeze your account, most times they have to pay. I think even the government has had to pay, in America, says they don't negotiate, but they've had to negotiate because even their accounts have gotten frozen. Banks I know of, and I forget the most recent one that happened. I think that happened last year, the year before, huge ransomware. And to date, they've had to pay, they'll like freeze all of their accounts and make them pay a whatever on the dark web, to get their accounts unfrozen. Big, big issue. All right. So, how do you protect yourself? Obviously, you need to have some type of security plan. Clearly, an antivirus software, just so you don't get any software on your computer. Mobile security is very important. God forbid you leave your phone somewhere, and most of our entire lives are on our cell phones. Really having really good passwords, multi-factor authentication, where you're getting a phone call or text or email, something to verify it's you. Your security settings, making sure you don't give access to things or people that you don't mean to. And then doing backups. Nowadays, even with cell phones, guys, you got to be so careful. A lot of these cell phones come with, you know apps already on it that says, oh, we have permission to track everything that you do. Like, you literally have to go into your settings and turn all that crap off. Like, you just can't trust, anybody. So when you do get a new cell phone, you go into your settings and make sure you don't, a lot of those, or even if you download a app, it's gonna automatically come with being able to track you. Everybody wants to track you because data is so important. You've seen it in the news. Elon, I hate to say it because so much is in the news nowadays. We've kind of probably drowned, is drowning us out. But you know, it's real. Everything that's in the news, unfortunately, is, and I think it's deliberate, right? It's called um, what do they call it? Flooding the system. So it's a technique. If you want to push something through, you just flood the system with so much that, people are overstimulated. They don't pay attention to it. Well, one of the things that, is happening that people may or may not be paying attention to is these tech companies trying to take your information. Like, one of the biggest things that Elon Musk did with his little efficiency company is take data. That's what he did, and there was so much else going on that people just didn't have time to be as upset about it as they're going to be later. Like, Elon Musk took all the social security numbers, all the data, where you went to school, if you were in the military or not, has all that data because they want to track people. Is it all for the bad reasons? I would say 70-30. 70% of it is because they just want to sell you something. They're trying to see your habits, and then they want to sell your data because companies want to know how we think so you can buy their crap. That's really, it's all about money, 70%. The other 30% is control. They want to control the narrative, so they want to see how people think. Um, that's unfortunately the truth. Now, how do you try to protect yourself with passwords? You definitely want to have a very, very, very strong password. Like I said, we know good antivirus software, turning off those pop-up blockers on your phone, deleting your cookies, even just so nobody tries to go in and steal them. You can have firewalls, all kinds of different things that you can have. Now, clearly, those of us that don't share a lot of information, I think people really need to be careful with what they put on social media. Y'all see all this drama happening with TikTok. I hate to say it, in the news, something else in the news, right? A lot of people are deleting their TikToks. I personally would delete. I think that the more social platforms you have, the more vulnerable you're making yourself. Right now, clearly, none of us are running from the law or doing anything, illegal, right? Prayerfully so. But still, you don't ever, I mean, whether you're doing something wrong or not, you're like, do you really want IT companies knowing everything about you? I mean, if you're online, they know anything anyway. I mean, that's basically what you're doing, is giving them permission to know everything that you have about yourself. And maybe you may feel like, oh, okay, what are they going to do with this? Well, they're going to sell your information. This is what they're going to do with it. That's why you get all those ads on your social platforms. But at any rate, one of the key things that you can do to protect yourself at the individual level is passwords. Passwords are critical because a lot of hackers will use um, password hacking systems, because if I can get your password, I can get into your life, right? So in order to create a really, really strong password, and this is a trick that I use, you want to think of a word or a series of words. I don't care if it's your first and last name. A lot of people use their kid's middle name and last name, or your favorite Disney character, whatever it is, something that you're not going to forget. And then what I tend to do is I always replace all the vowels in that word with some type of symbol. And then I'll put a number on the back end. And then I'll add another symbol. Why do I do that? The software hacking systems, they're always going to start with the English language to try to, and that's the algorithm that it's trained to do, to go through, go through every letter in the alphabet, go through every word in a dictionary to try to crack the code of what this this password is. And then it tries to go and put all the numbers at the end, then then the symbols and characters. Well, the algorithm, the hacking software that these, hackers use, the more sophisticated the hacking system, the more it costs. And they're not going to spend a lot of money trying to break into URI's system unless they know for sure that you're a multimillionaire or something, right? So by you creating your own word that's technically not a real word, and the quickest way to do that is to replace different letters in a word with either a symbol or a number. Their software hacking systems are not, it's going to take them longer to try to break into your system. Not that they can't, but they're just not just going to spend that time on URI for the most part. So the quickest way is to never write a word out in its totality. Always do, like, replace the vowels or replace the consonants. Can I speak? With a number or a symbol. So like, even if you use the word welcome, I would replace all the E's with a $. I would replace the O with a exclamation point, and then I'll put a year on the end, maybe the year my daughter was born or the year I graduated high school or something. And then I'll put another symbol. Why do I do that? I'll never forget how to spell welcome. All I need to remember is I put an exclamation for the E's and a $sign for the E's and an exclamation for the O, right? That makes your password strong. That's why when you see those recommended passwords, they look really crazy if you ever pay attention to them. That's exactly what they're trying to do. If you want to make it even stronger, don't spell the word welcome out the way it's supposed to be spelled. Like, a lot of times you can come up with your own way to spell welcome, right? A fake way. And then also replace it with symbols. It will make it very difficult for the hacking software to break that code. So that's a trick to use, right? And that's why you get those recommendations from the system to tell you to do that. All right. Bottom line, be careful out there, guys. Be careful out there. Whether it's looking for a job or not, just, again, we live in a technology infused world, so we just have to protect ourselves, right? The boogeyman is not walking a home at night anymore. The boogeyman is being on the internet. All right, so here's a question for you for today. Have you ever been hacked or had your identity stolen? I know I have, unfortunately. How did you fix it? Now, if you haven't been, just tell me what you're doing to keep yourself safe. To give me 3 things that you're doing to keep yourself safe, whether you realized it or not. But or you will do to keep yourself safe. So if you've been hacked, give me a story. If you haven't, tell me what you're doing. Really quickly, a couple of announcements. Number one, my friends, please check your grades. If some of you I may have given notice to for your mock interviews, like you're supposed to turn in a form. Now, I did get a few forms from somebody's campus emailed to me, but they're supposed to give it to you and you're supposed to upload it. So signed resume and the form that they use to not score you, because it's not a grade really, but it's a review you. They're supposed to give you that and you're supposed to upload that form, right? I had a few people uploading tips for interviewing. That's not what I'm talking about. Your career services people know what I'm talking about. Just say my teacher says I need the form so you can get it. All right. I may shoot 1 or 2 of you an email, even though I put it in the comments, if you didn't get a grade for that assignment because you didn't upload the form. So please make sure you upload that form. All right. If y'all don't have anything for me, like I said, please try to get everything done today, my friends. Today. I'm going to be grading aggressively. I've been trying to grade as fast as I can. You have until tomorrow to do your final project. Guys, please use that form to do your career project. It's easy to do. Don't halfway do it. Don't just put one. Please don't halfway do it because I don't want to give you a halfway grade. So make sure you fill it out completely for your last project. Go ahead, Dorian. Dorian, yeah, I think I sent you a message. Go ahead.
Nah, I was gonna talk about the midterm because I still have a 70% grade on it.
Okay, yeah. Hold tight. I don't want to discuss your grade in front of. Okay, hold tight. Anybody else? All right, guys. Have a good day. Dorian, hold tight. I wanted to
I will.
talk to you about something else anyway. All right. So, all right. Have a good day, guys.